Apparently, what Canada needs is another male feminist leader of a major political party. As if having a prime minister who loves to repeat that he's a feminist over and over again wasn't bad enough. Well, the new leader of the Conservative Party of Canada, Andrew Scheer, dropped the bombshell that he too is a feminist. He said it during a recent interview with Chatelaine. Now, those not familiar with Chatelaine, it's a women's magazine that has been known to write glowing features about Justin Trudeau and Justin Trudeau's entire family, while also being incredibly unfriendly to conservatives. Laureen Harper, the wife of former Prime Minister Stephen Harper, pointed out that when outgoing interim Conservative leader Rona Ambrose left, they did a year-end interview with her, but it didn't make the cover. Rona Ambrose didn't make the cover in her 13 years as a politician, despite being smart, beautiful, and accomplished. Rona Ambrose founded the International Day of the Girl, which was a day to promote education for girls in the developing world. It was adopted by the UN, and yet Chatelaine didn't think that that was worthy of their cover. Sophie Trudeau, on the other hand, has made the cover multiple times. Sure, she hasn't really done anything on her own, but hey, she married into the right family. As for Andrew Scheer, doing a sit-down interview with Canada's largest women's lifestyle magazine is just par for the course. It's totally fine. The problem, though, is when you change your message to suit your audience. Are you a feminist? Asked senior writer Sarah Bousveld. Yeah, absolutely, said Andrew Scheer. His response even seemed to catch Bousveld by surprise. What do you mean by that, though? She asked. Scheer went on to repeat the distorted definition of feminism that's often repeated by those pushing a political agenda. He said that feminism is just about the fundamental equality between men and women. Now, there are many problems with this definition. And for starters, most feminists are not fighting for equality. I mean, seriously, when was the last time you heard a feminist talking about how boys are falling behind in schools? Or about how men make up most workplace injuries and workplace deaths? Or about how life expectancy for men is 4 years shorter than it is for women? If feminism was really about equality, then gender studies departments at universities would strive for gender parities in their own departments, among faculties, student enrollment, and as the focus of their academic research. But, of course, feminism isn't about equality, and feminists really don't care about men. Frankly, feminists don't care about women either. If feminists really cared about the well-being of women, rather than just an obsession over forced equality and equality of outcome, well, then feminists would support women in the choices that they make. They would celebrate the stay-at-home mom as much as they celebrate overachievers and workaholics. Instead, today's feminists are on a radical mission. They rail against the patriarchy, which, from best I can tell, is an ill-defined, made-up force within our society that supposedly promotes male privilege. Far from empowering women, feminists treat women as helpless victims, oppressed by the very people in our lives whom we love, our fathers, brothers, husbands, and sons. Today's feminists openly claim that women don't need men, and they strive for a world where men are obsolete. Even mild feminists promote a very rigid set of expectations for women, and they shun large portions of the population, be it women who choose family over career, people with religious convictions, anyone who opposes abortions or late-term abortions and thinks that that's immoral, and of course they shun conservatives. Thankfully, most Canadians flat out reject this type of thinking. In survey after survey after survey, Canadians oppose the feminist label. A survey by Chatelaine found that 68% of women refuse to call themselves a feminist. And The Economist found that only 17% of women and 15% of men in Canada would be willing to describe themselves as a feminist. It's therefore surprising that Conservative leader Andrew Scheer would jump to say that he is absolutely a feminist. Most Canadians don't like feminists. And besides, the field for a male feminist leader in Canada is already pretty crowded. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau will say it over and over again that he's a feminist. And at least for Trudeau, he's actually committed to some of the same pet causes as feminists. He's militantly pro-choice, he's banned any dissenting opinions from liberals in his caucus, and he practices forced equality between men and women in top government positions. He created gender parity in his cabinet, regardless of the competence or experience of the people there. So rather than following Trudeau down the feminist rabbit hole, Canadians would be much better served with a leader who would advocate for both sexes, men and women. Conservatives should have the courage to articulate their worldview and to articulate a different set of priorities. Conservatives must resist becoming a watered-down version of the Liberals. And the sooner that Andrew Scheer learns this lesson, the better. For the Rebel Media, I'm Candace Malcolm. Thank you so much for watching my video. If you like what you heard and what you saw, don't forget to subscribe to this channel.